Now let's turn to the scandal that is gripping the Winter Olympic Games. Russian skating sensation Kamila Valieva will soon learn whether she can compete next week with a hearing in the coming days. This comes after she tested positive for a banned drug. And Valieva is slated to compete in the women's short program on Tuesday. And we also still don't know if the Russian team will be awarded the gold medal. That's also gotten caught up in all of this. Let's get the very latest from the person who's been breaking all the news on this, CNN's sports analyst, Christine Brennan. She's a sports columnist for USA Today, live in Beijing. So, Christine, what is happening in this moment? Like, where do things stand here?
Yeah, Kate, I think the most significant development over the last, say, 24 hours since we last spoke is that the International Olympic Committee has kind of been heard from. After hemming and hawing and saying they can't talk and don't want to, it's a legal issue and we've got to see what happens, they're now actually part of this appeal that is appealing the Russian decision to allow Valieva to continue to practice. So the Russians said it's okay, she was banned. Then they said, no, you're not banned. And now the IOC is saying we want to appeal that, which means, translated, it means that the IOC does not want her to compete. The IOC is concerned about doping and says they don't want her to be able to participate. Then that would also potentially lead to the gold medal being awarded to the United States, presuming everything moves forward. So I think that's the biggest news. And it's not necessarily surprising because, of course, the IOC is all about anti-doping, is all about not wanting people to cheat. And even though she's 15 and there's a lot of sympathy for her, and it clearly looks like her team and the adults around her, the coaches, are the ones we should be looking at, you've got to have her not be skating. She cannot be participating if you want to have clean sport and if you want to have these games not be tainted by this story.
I have to ask you, with this whole thing, it feels to me like drug testing protocols, especially when it comes to the Olympics, should be pretty clear-cut. Like, test result is X, and so that triggers this consequence. Why isn't this clear-cut, or at least it doesn't feel that way at all? I mean, so much confusion and lack of transparency. At least it feels that way. Why is this?
Right, because she takes the test on Christmas Day, December 25th, and it's not till February 8th that the result is given. That's unheard of. What happened in those, 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks? That leads to so many questions, and obviously because Russia's already on probation, they're already in trouble for state-sponsored doping, and this has been going on for 4 Olympic Games. Of course it leads anyone who's looking at this to question everything. It is confusing, but the bottom line is that result should have been known sooner. Did the Russians know? Did they keep it a secret? Did they not want, obviously, to have Valieva compete? And so we didn't know. Was the test lost? So many questions. But the issue there is it was before the Olympics. That said, because she's tested positive, even if she's had negative tests now, that doesn't change the fact it was a positive drug test less than 2 months for the Olympic Games. To me, that's closed case. That's doping of the highest order, and this is also, of course, a drug that is performance enhancing. This is a drug that could make her compete better, have better endurance, and less fatigue, and that's the classic definition of performance enhancing.
And that is a great point. I mean, we know that. Has anyone talked to her or heard from her directly on what she says about this? I mean, this gets, of course, more complicated. She's a minor. She's only 15 years old. I'm just curious.
Yeah, she's the only time we've seen her is in the mix zone. That's the area where we do our interviews, where the journalists can be. The athletes walk through. It's kind of like a maze, and they come along and they talk to us. Nathan Chen did yesterday. That's where we see all the athletes. So, and she has basically said, not talking. Obviously, English to Russian is difficult anyway, and so we've heard not a word. And we may not hear another word from her. And of course, the Russians are saying nothing's wrong here, nothing to see. We earned the medals, honestly. And so, of course they are. That's what they, of course, will say. The question is what's going to be said by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. That's kind of the Supreme Court for the Olympic Games, Kate, and that's where this is now. And they are here on site at every Olympics. This is their job to try to adjudicate some of these issues, and that's what they're going to have to do, and it has to be done quickly because the women's short program is Tuesday night. So basically Saturday, Sunday, Monday to make this decision.
All right, stay close. It's good to see you, Christine. Thank you so much.